Well, happy Wednesday, guys. I'm back today with another amazing guest, my friend Mary Davis, who is the founder of In Good Order. Oh my gosh, we are in for a great treat. So last week I introduced you to Samantha, who is with time management. And today we're going to talk about our physical space and why it's so important that we focus on our physical space and how that affects us as we question the drink. Also, with our stress levels, it's really important that we are paying attention to our outer environment or external environment in our workspace and our homes that can really affect our psyche. So today I have, like I said, Mary, and we are going to talk about a few important things regarding those things and our stuff. So Mary, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And I forgot to start the video. So the record button. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So we are recording. And if you want to go ahead and start by telling everybody a little bit about the importance of removing our things.
Yes, thank you for having me. So I find that the biggest issues that people have with getting themselves organized is just like Samantha said last week, people are overwhelmed and don't know where to start. So that applies to our physical clutter, just like it applies to our calendars. The second thing is we are attached to our stuff. And there are three main reasons when I go into a client's home that I find that they don't want to let go of things. The first being something has sentimental value. It's kind of obvious somebody's given it to us as a gift or it's a family hand-me-down. The second thing is a fear of waste. This especially happens with older clients and people who grew up without money. The third thing is false value that we attach to things. False value can be monetary value, meaning I paid X amount of dollars for this item, so I'm throwing away that amount of money if I get rid of it. The second thing is use value. You think, oh, I'm going to use it someday, or I'll need that someday, but you're not using it now. And the third is the value of status, meaning the more stuff we have, we feel like it shows how hard we've worked to get it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And by the way, if anybody's watching and wants to drop a comment or a question for Mary, please go ahead and do that. I'll make sure that I'm checking those comments and the questions. But oh my gosh, you just hit the nail on the head for a lot of people. So when we think of somebody who's a hoarder, for example, they have a really hard time. Well, for hoarders, the true definition of a hoarder is really there's a psychological element that goes into it. But there is this fear, and we're using that as a major, exaggeration. But when we think about how we mentally attach ourselves to something, maybe you could speak into that. So you mentioned elderly people, especially have a hard time with this, and also somebody that grew up with maybe not a lot of things or money or monetary value. So maybe you can speak a little bit into your experience with that, what you have found.
So I was having a conversation with one of my mother-in-law's friends who I adore, and they are very successful, have big, beautiful homes. And we were talking about my business, and she goes, well, I just don't want to get rid of anything. And I'm like, well, why not? And she said, because she grew up very, very poor. And so anything that they had to make sure they held on to. And so she just grew up with that mindset of you hold on to what you have because you may not get more of it. And so it just bleeds over into even when you do have money and have whatever you may want or need, you still have that mindset of I have to hold on to it.
Yeah, that's so true. And I feel like, that is a fear factor for a lot of people. And so I can see that happening. Now, I will put the disclaimer out there that Mary actually came over to my home and helped me organize my bathroom, which let me tell you how embarrassing that was, right? I'm like, oh my God, you're going to think like I'm the worst person. I am a product junkie. If you're a product junkie, go ahead and put in the comments that you know what I'm talking about. All the ladies out there, you all should be typing yes, that you know what that feels like. But for me, it was embarrassment almost to have, feel that way. And I know I can speak from having Mary here. She made me feel so comfortable, like, girl, this is not a big deal. So thank you for that, by the way.
So first of all, if a professional organizer is coming into your home, You should never be embarrassed. We have seen it. It's why we're here. We understand it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you messy or dirty or any of those things. And the second thing I'll say is I have been there. I did not grow up as an organized person. Anybody who knew me as a teenager or young adult will tell you, like, I had stuff everywhere, clothes with tags still on, all of the things. So I've been where you've been, and no one should be embarrassed ever.
Yeah. Well,
Everybody has messes, and so nobody should be embarrassed about theirs.
yeah. And you did that for me. You made me feel so comfortable, like it's not a big deal. And I have a hard time. It was like makeup stuff, skincare things that I bought in the past that you pay a lot of money for. And you're like, I remember it was eye wash stuff. You're like, Carrie, this expired 2 years ago. Can I throw it out? I'm like, no, but I still use it. Okay. It expired 2 years ago, you guys. It's pretty bad. But then you also helped me with my office that I'm sitting in now. So you have experience doing a lot with companies, businesses, as well as residential homes. And also now, that's right, you were with Closet Factory.
Yes.
Here in Richmond, particularly. So if you live in Richmond, girl, we got to get you out there, because that is awesome. Like, I want a Closet Factory closet.
There's really, I find a lot of value in having your storage needs customized for you.
Yeah.
And what you have. And people really don't realize how much value that can have.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So I know a couple other things we were going to talk about why getting organized is beneficial, and really about I love that you put on your notes to me about the brain space. You said save time, money, and brain space.
Yes.
And you could talk a little bit about that.
Yep. So we've talked about what we don't want in our house a little bit, or why people can't get rid of the things, but what should we have in our house then? And it really falls into two categories: things we love. And when I say love, I mean love. Like, you can't live without it. When you look at it, it makes you feel good. When you put it on, it makes you feel good. That level of love. Or we need it and use it. I don't love my vacuum cleaner, but I use my vacuum cleaner. So the benefits to paring down to those two categories of things are: things are easier to find, easier to put away, and you can see what you have. Okay, that doesn't sound earth shattering. I get that. People are probably going, well, what that means is you spend less time looking for things and straightening up, which means you have more time. You spend less money buying things that you didn't realize you already had, so you have more money. And one of the most overlooked benefits is the less physical clutter you have, the less mental clutter you have.
Wow. By the way, I want to interrupt just for a moment here. Doris and Lisa they both put some comments in the field, or in the comment field. And Doris brought up something that, girl, I feel you on this. She says, I have an issue with flat surfaces and printing too much stuff. Mary, do you remember when you came over and I had that whole space in my kitchen counter, and I'm like, yep, this is my kind of my junk area. So I think that's what Doris is referring to. So what can you say about that? And Lisa also commented, I think it was in regards to us having that fear of throwing out things. She writes, the loss of things that might be important. And yeah, yes, you're right. But what can we tell Doris in regards to, what do we do in those areas where we have flat spaces and we just keep piling on more stuff,
Dressers, desktops, all of the things. I get it. The most important thing is to come up with a system and have a place for everything, and a place that's easy to get to it when you need it frequently, and easy to put it away. Because if we have to open a cabinet and then open a box, and then you're not going to put it away because it's too hard. It needs to be quick and easy and painless to put things away. The paper, I am a paper person. I print probably entirely too much. So I have a recycle bin sitting right beside my desk. And when I'm done with it, sometimes I'll use the back as scratch paper. And when I'm done with it, it goes right in the recycle bin. And it's, literally right here at my arm. So,
that reminds me, I heard too that there's a rule of thumb, like with mail, for example. We all get too much mail, especially junk mail, promotional mail, all the things. I mean, literally. And 10 pieces of mail, there might be 1 or 2 things that is worth of value. The rest of it gets tossed. And we got to be careful with that too. So what is your ideal protocol, if you will, for mail, for example? When somebody comes in and they got all this mail, what should we do with the mail at that point?
My first piece of advice would be to unsubscribe to any, there's a website, and forgive me, I don't remember what it is, but there's a website you can go to sign up where you will stop getting as much of the junk. Like you'll stop getting all the credit card offers and all the advertisements.
Wow. It's like the do not call list kind
Right,
of.
exactly. So once you do have the physical mail, do not touch it more than once. If it's junk, it goes straight into our recycle bin. You can put one by your door. Then the other stuff that you actually need, you open it and either it gets put in a pile. So in this case, you might touch it twice, your to-do pile. If it's something you don't need to or can't take care of right away, or it goes in the recycle bin.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I was just checking to make sure there was no other questions or comments at the moment.
And you said that somebody else asked about the fear of needing something that you get rid of.
I think she was commenting about having the loss, that fear of losing out on something. And a lot, even this ties back to when we're questioning the drink and this fear of giving up alcohol, for example. There's this loss that goes with it. Anytime we move into this fear of loss, it becomes a sentimental thing, but it also affects us in a mental capacity of that we're giving up something rather than looking at it that we're gaining. So in this instance, we might be giving up something physical that we're trying to either remove out of our space or declutter, if you will, but we're gaining so much of this positivity and this confidence that we're lacking because of our space.
And you hit the nail on the head. One thing I tell my clients is, especially when they are attached to something because of the false value, the monetary value, I'm like, you're not going to get the money back, but you can get the space. So you're exactly right. You're getting so much more than you're giving up.
Right. And that goes the same with anything we do in life. We have to think about the things that we're gaining versus what we're losing or giving up. And it's like this little 2 millimeter distinction of a mindset shift, but it makes all the difference in the world. And, even speaking to my clients, I always tell them, don't look at it that you have to quit drinking. You're choosing not to drink. So in this case, we're choosing to create more space. We're choosing to have more beautiful things in our life by, having that mental clarity and, not having so much stuff around us really is so beneficial for our stress levels as well. And I really want to speak into that. I know you wanted to share some photos. Is that right?
Yes, I do have some that I can share. I'm going to share my screen.
I put it on speaker view so we can get a bigger view of your screen.
So this is a closet after I have organized it. You walk into this closet to get ready. You're feeling pretty good. You look like you can find what you need. You know what you have. But had you walked into this closet when it looked like this, especially if you look over on the left at the shelves and the hanging sections, it would have been a lot harder to find what you were looking for. And you probably would have walked in and even not necessarily consciously, but unconsciously had this feeling of, I can't find what I need, or I'm going to have to search for this thing.
Well, the other thing too that I noticed is a big difference, and I have color coordinated my closet, which has been a ginormous benefit for me because my mind, I can't do this back and forth thing with my head, right? And so I noticed on this first photo, everything is color coordinated. You have your t-shirts together, you have the long sleeves together, you have the jackets together, you got the skirts together. And I think that does, not I think, I know, it does something for us too. It's less decision making.
Yes.
Especially when we're getting dressed in the morning, it's so important that we don't have that many decisions to make because we got to save our energy for our work day.
Yes.
So I love that you did this exactly the way that is so good for us in our mental space too. I love that. That's awesome.
Same thing when you go to cook dinner. Do you want to look at a pantry that looks like this and try to find something to fix for dinner?
Yeah.
I threw probably 3 large trash bags of expired food away
Oh,
out of
wow.
the pantry. When your pantry looks like this,
Yeah.
you find what you need and you know what you have. So these people were so excited to be able to see what they had in their pantry. Um, and the last one is something as simple as a junk drawer. Do you want to open this and try to find batteries? Or would you rather open this and know exactly where everything is?
Oh my gosh.
It's just, it, it doesn't seem earth shattering until you experience it, I think. And it's not really earth shattering, but it does change your life.
Well,
Um,
the other thing too, Mary, I'll interrupt for just a second, is you did this for me in my home. And I think this is an important uh, example that we can look at. If you guys can notice that each one of those containers fit the actual product. So there's some method behind your organizing when you're working with a client. It's not just like you're coming in and throwing a couple things together. This is all customized in regards to what is important to you as the client and the things that you want to keep that Mary's going to fit those items or the bins rather to your items so they fit properly in your drawer. This is what makes working with a professional so much better than you trying to do things on your own. So I love this as an example.
yeah. And people often can do it on their own, but there are definitely benefits. And just like you said, we have the skill to really customize the solutions. I equate it to like hitting the easy button.
Oh, I love
I
that.
think it's Staples, but it's like hitting the easy button.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get out of this now.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think that is so good, right? I mean, it just makes you feel so much better. Like I had anxiety looking in at that closet in the junk drawer. And listen, guys, I have, embarrassed to say, Mary did not hit my junk drawers. I have at least 2 of them in the kitchen, and the one is a drawer that is this deep. It is so pathetic. I need you to come back, Mary, and help me with that.
Anytime, of course.
Yeah. So if you have a junk drawer at home, why don't you go ahead and put in the comments that you got a junk drawer at home? Because please let it not just be me. I know it's not, but anyways,
And
um,
every home,
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure.
So I know we talked about a few things, and you had some tips here. It's okay to start small. Maybe you could
Yeah.
start speaking into some of your tips that you.
Yep. So the junk drawer is the perfect example. If you feel overwhelmed by tackling your closet or your pantry, pick one drawer. And that's okay because then you're going to get a little momentum going and feel better about moving on to bigger tasks. Another one is make sure whether you start small or big, make sure you allot yourself plenty of time to tackle whatever you choose to do because you don't want to get halfway through and then have to stop and do something else because it's going to completely derail you.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a really good point.
yep. Another thing is store things where you use them. Don't put your silverware in the furthest drawer from the dishwasher. It's going to make it a lot easier if you can pull it out of the dishwasher and put it right in the drawer with as little back and forth as possible. And then the last tip is, and this kind of goes to what you were just speaking to, is it's not a one and done magic pill. It is something you have to maintain, but when you get the system set up properly, maintenance should be easy.
Yeah. And that's something too, Mary, is that it's just like with anything in life. And last week, if you were here, Samantha Lane was our guest and she talks a lot about time management. And it really is about putting the systems into place that sets you up for success. Even
Absolutely.
in my business, I have systems in place as a foundational part of my business. In order for me to be able to serve the clients and do the things that I do, you have to have the foundational pieces in place. So important. The other thing, speaking of Samantha, and what you just said about it's okay to start off small, there's something about having this effort with rewards, right? So when we have something small to tackle and we can cross that off the list or we can complete one drawer, for example, when we're working on that, it feeds us in a positive way. It actually releases dopamine. And this dopamine in such a great way, right? Because we want more of that, those little rewards and those little tiny benefits or deposits into us. So by doing these things, it really helps us become more motivated. And we're both going to give a shout out to Samantha. If you were here last week, Samantha has these the time blocking or time management sheets, and they're, see how mine's folded, and it literally, you just fold up your
Yep.
paper, and as you're going through the day, you just cross it off. It's
Yep.
amazing little thing. So big shout out to Samantha last week.
Yes.
Yeah, listen, guys, I bring some quality guests in here, some with some practical tips to help change your life. And that's what we're trying to do today, is like really understand how important our space is with how we feel inside, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So is there anything else that you want to share, or you maybe talk about, like if somebody want to get in touch with you, what to look for in hiring a professional? Now, Mary, you're here in Richmond, Virginia, so obviously you're going to be more focused in the Virginia area, but in basic terms of hiring a professional, what should somebody be looking for? And maybe even with Closet Factory and those sorts of benefits, what that looks like.
So I'll speak to the benefits first. We all have busy lives. It's a cycle we're stuck in. And now with COVID and working from home and people who have kids that may or may not be going back to school, we don't have time to do these types of things ourselves all the time. So if you don't have time to do it, don't take any shame in hiring somebody. We hire people to do our hair and our nails and clean our house. There's nothing wrong with paying somebody to give yourself that time back. The other thing, and you touched on this already about having to make multiple decisions. A professional can come in and reduce that sense of overwhelm and the decision fatigue, because it is a real thing. The more decisions you have to make on your own, the more stressed out you're going to get. And then we spoke to this as well. We have the skill set to kind of think of things and look at things in a way that most people aren't able to. Just like I can't go paint a picture for somebody because I have no artistic ability. There is a special skill set and knowledge that we can customize solutions for folks. So if you do want to hire a professional, the biggest key is finding somebody you're comfortable with. Because if you're not comfortable with that person, you're not going to want them in your house going through all of your things. And look at, you have to have somebody that makes you feel supported and understood, and is going to work with you at the pace and level that you're prepared to work at, while being encouraging. And so tips for finding somebody: social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and so are many, many other organizers. Look for ones that you like, what you see in their profiles and in their feeds. Also just Googling folks. I actually have a link on my Instagram to a group of organizers that has organizers from all over the country, that I am in a group with, that are all super great. So, and if anyone needs help and they don't live in Richmond, we offer virtual services as well, which is even more prevalent, or sometimes
more common now. Yeah.
Yes, more common now. Or I'd be happy to help you find somebody in the area that you live in if you want in-person service.
Oh, that's awesome. So to find you on Instagram, it's In Good Order
LLC.
Okay, so In Good Order LLC is Mary's handle on Instagram. So please follow her, because she always posts some really cool photos too. And I love that. And and then I'm just making sure there's nothing else that we didn't cover. It seems like we got everything. Yeah. And then so you recently started with Closet Factory too.
Yes.
And maybe you want to speak into that a little bit, because that is.
I would love to. So Closet Factory is a franchise. So they're not just in Richmond, but each franchise is locally owned. They don't just do closets. We do offices, which if you're working from home now, you may need an office space that you weren't prepared for. I know, like, I have a folding table set up for my son to work at the end of the school year last year because it was unexpected. But if you're homeschooling, you may want to set up a more permanent space, or virtual schooling now, a more permanent space for your children to work at. Garages, pantries, mud rooms, the list goes on and on, really. And we really can just customize to what you physically have to store in the space and how you use the space. And that's a huge difference from just having a cookie cutter solution that's may not work for your needs.
Yeah, that is awesome. And you said too that it's custom and it's actually built here in Richmond. Well, it's
Yeah,
in Ashland, which
yeah,
is from here, you know, which
right.
is right up the road. That is so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
And I'll just, one last thing, all their product has a lifetime guarantee, and you never get that, I feel, anymore with anything. So it really speaks to the quality of what they do.
absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Mary. I don't know about you guys, but oh my gosh, I learned a lot. So many great tips. Please follow her on Instagram and be sure to come back next week. By the way, we are not going to be having a Facebook Live, just letting you know. I will be away that week, but following week we'll be back. Same place, might be a different time. I'll keep you all posted. Again, Mary, thank you for being here, and we'll see you around.
Thanks.